Interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.
2 at 49.
Diddy is 49 years old.
Oh, man!
That is a 27-year...
You know how Steve Harvey always jokes about his marriages being a mess? Well, it turns out he might have been understating it. Because the woman standing next to him on every red carpet, the one he calls his saving grace, the one who's been his rock for over a decade, was allegedly doing a lot more than rubbing elbows with Diddy at those infamous parties. According to the rumors, she wasn't just attending them. She was running them. And it doesn't stop there. We're talking about a woman whose ex-husbands weren't just ordinary men. They were convicted criminal kingpins, the kind who moved enough product to make cartels nervous. The kind who received life sentences, before one of them eventually walked free thanks to a presidential pardon. So let's ask the question no one's had the guts to say out loud. If Marjorie Harvey was allegedly knee-deep in that world, what exactly was she doing at Diddy's side all these years? And more importantly, what did Steve Harvey know? Because if even half of these rumors are true, America's favorite TV dad may have been sitting on the biggest scandal of his entire career. And trust us, this isn't just gossip. This is the kind of story that makes you question everything you thought you knew.
50's to be
Fifth. Y'all don't even, Fifth is
play around if you want to.
Fifth is different.
And he's on tour.
Now, before you roll your eyes and say, oh, here we go with the rumors, let's get one thing straight. This didn't come from some random blog. This came from 50 Cent. Love him or hate him, 50 Cent has a long track record of dropping bombshells that actually stick. And this time, he's alleging that Marjorie Harvey wasn't just a socialite sipping sparkling drinks in the VIP section. She was allegedly part of the machinery, the operations, and the timing of it all is everything. Because 50 didn't just throw this out there randomly. He dropped it right as Diddy's trial was wrapping up. Right as Steve and Marjorie Harvey were dealing with very public cheating rumors. And right as Netflix was gearing up to release that explosive documentary. Coincidence? Please. This is a man who plays chess while everyone else is still setting up the board. And if you think for 1 second that 50 Cent, who's been feuding with Diddy for years, who's made it his personal mission to expose every skeleton in Puff's closet, would make an accusation like this without some kind of receipt, then you haven't been paying attention. But here's where it gets even messier. Because Marjorie Harvey's past isn't some distant chapter, it's a blueprint. Her first husband, Jim Townsend, was a major substance kingpin, so connected that the FBI allegedly had enough evidence to indict her as well, until he cut a deal that kept her name out of it. Her second husband, Donald Woods, was another kingpin. Another deeply connected figure. Another man who allegedly knew how to move product without leaving a trace. And then there's Marjorie, the woman who walked away from both of them and somehow ended up married to Steve Harvey. America's dad. The man who writes books about respectability, morality, and how women should act like ladies. The irony is so thick you could cut it with one of Diddy's infamous white party invitations. So let's connect the dots. If Marjorie Harvey was allegedly running point at parties where, according to multiple lawsuits, women were sedated, coerced, and worse, parties where Diddy's inner circle allegedly ensured no one talked, then what exactly was she bringing to the table? And why would Steve Harvey, a man who's built his entire brand on family values and moral high ground, hitch his wagon to someone with a resume like that?
And so she called me, and she just went off on me.
And then there's Lori Harvey. Oh, Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey's stepdaughter. The rising model. The it girl. The one who's been linked to everyone from Future to Michael B. Jordan. This is the same Lori Harvey who, back in 2019, was allegedly spotted getting cozy with Diddy, in Italy, in Mexico, wearing matching outfits that screamed, "We're more than just friends." The same Lori who, according to insiders, was there for Diddy during one of the darkest moments of his life, right after Kim Porter's tragic passing. Now, if you're Steve Harvey, and your wife is allegedly tied to Diddy's world in ways we're only now beginning to uncover, how do you not have an issue with your stepdaughter being photographed with the very man at the center of it all? Unless, of course, you already knew. Unless the Harveys and the Combs were never just friends. Unless this was all part of a much bigger picture, one where loyalty, silence, and maybe even leverage were the real currencies being traded. And let's not forget, Steve Harvey has been down this road before. His second ex-wife, Mary Shackelford, didn't just walk away quietly. She sued him for $60 million, accusing him of everything from torture to soul harm. And while a judge eventually dismissed the case, the pattern is clear. Steve Harvey's marriages don't end quietly. They explode. So when Marjorie Harvey took to Instagram last month to shut down those cheating rumors, posting that religious blog about how to deal with being lied about, was that really about some made-up affair with a bodyguard? Or was it a preemptive strike? A way to control the narrative before someone, maybe someone like 50 Cent, decided to control it for her?
So you're not allowed, they don't want you to say nothing about what's really going on.
No, there wouldn't be one.
And speaking of control, let's talk about the money. Because Marjorie Harvey didn't just deny the cheating rumors, she allegedly demanded a $200 million divorce settlement. Let that sink in. $200 million. And if we're being honest, Steve Harvey's net worth doesn't exactly stretch that far. So the question becomes, what is Marjorie really after? What does she have that's worth 9 figures? Because if history is any indication, this isn't just about the clothes, the trips, or the lifestyle. It's about what she knows. And if that knowledge includes details about Diddy's parties, the substances, the women who've come forward, the system that allegedly kept everything quiet, then we're not talking about a messy divorce anymore. We're talking about a negotiation. One where the stakes aren't just money, but reputations, careers, maybe even freedom. Now zoom out for a second. Because while everyone's focused on Marjorie and Steve, on cheating rumors, alleged criminal ties, and those "oh my god, did she really?" moments, there's a bigger game being played. Diddy's trial may be over, but the fallout is just beginning. The Netflix documentary is out. The lawsuits are piling up. And 50 Cent? He's not done. Not by a long shot. So when 50 Cent hints that Marjorie Harvey was more than just a guest at those parties, when he implies she was part of the operations, we have to ask. Is this really just about taking down Diddy? Or is this about exposing an entire network, one that may include some of the most powerful names in entertainment? Names like Steve Harvey.
Her mother is 54 years old. Her mother is 5 years older.
And that brings us back to Lori Harvey. Because if Marjorie Harvey was allegedly running point at Diddy's parties, if she was the bridge between the criminal world and the hip-hop elite, then what exactly was Lori's role? Was she just another young woman caught up in the glamour? Or was she there for a reason? Remember, this is the same Lori Harvey who was allegedly linked to Justin Combs, Diddy's son, before she was later spotted with Diddy himself. This is the same Lori who, according to insiders, was there for Diddy during some of his darkest hours. So was that just coincidence, or was it strategy? Because if the Harveys and the Combs really were as close as people claim, then Lori's presence in Diddy's life starts to look less like a fling and more like something deliberate. It's interesting how these families keep intersecting. But here's the part that really changes everything. Steve Harvey didn't just marry Marjorie. He adopted Lori. He made her his daughter. So when we talk about Lori Harvey's alleged involvement with Diddy, we're not talking about some random celebrity romance. We're talking about Steve Harvey's daughter, the same man who built his entire career preaching morality, respect, and how men and women should behave. This is also the same man whose second ex-wife, Mary Shackelford, once sued him, accusing him of soul harm. So ask yourself, how does a man like that look his daughter in the eye when she's linked to someone like Diddy? Unless, of course, he already knew the game. Unless the Harveys and the Combs were playing by the same rules all along. And that's where the silence starts to mean something. Because Steve Harvey hasn't said a word. No denial. No outrage. Just that calm, polished comment at InvestFest, brushing it all off like background noise. But we've seen this pattern before. When accusations get too close, when the truth starts leaking, powerful people don't get angry. They get quiet. And Steve Harvey has been very quiet.
So they in that generation. And I asked them what is it, and they said, Dad, you clickbait. He said, you clickbait. He said, you one of the most viral people in your age group out there. He said, Dad, every clip on Family Feud got you on it. Yeah. You clickbait. If they can take your face and put it on anything, you become clickbait. He said, and that's what it is, you know.
But here's what no one's really talking about. While everyone's focused on Marjorie Harvey's past, the parties, the alleged substance ties, the connections, there's one question that keeps getting ignored. What was Steve Harvey getting out of this marriage? Because let's be honest, he didn't need Marjorie for money. He didn't need her for fame. So why her? Why a woman with a past like that? With connections like that? With baggage like that? Unless those connections were the point. Unless Marjorie Harvey wasn't just a wife. She was an asset. Someone with access. Someone with secrets. Someone who could open doors Steve, for all his fame, couldn't open on his own. And if that's true, then the real question isn't about Marjorie's past. It's about Steve's future. Because Diddy may be locked up, but the game isn't over. The lawsuits are still coming. The documentary is still trending. And 50 Cent? He's nowhere near finished. So if Marjorie Harvey really was part of Diddy's world the way 50 Cent is implying, if she was allegedly running those parties, acting as a link between illicit activity and the hip-hop elite, then Steve Harvey isn't just married to a woman with a scandalous past. He's married to a liability. One that could bring down everything he's built. But here's the kicker. While the internet is losing its mind, connecting dots, dissecting cheating rumors, asking what did Steve know? There's one person who's been eerily silent through all of this. Lori Harvey. No posts. No denial. No clarification. Just silence. And in a world where every celebrity rushes to get ahead of the narrative, silence isn't just golden, it's suspicious. Now let's talk about that $200 million question. Because that's not just a divorce settlement demand. That's a hostage note. Marjorie Harvey didn't pull that number out of thin air. Numbers like that don't come from hurt feelings. They come from leverage. And let's be real, Steve Harvey's net worth isn't that deep. So what is she really after? What does she have that's worth 9 figures? Because if Steve Harvey's history tells us anything, it's this: his marriages don't end quietly. They end loud. Just look at Mary Shackelford, the ex-wife who sued him for $60 million, accusing him of everything short of ritual sacrifice. She didn't just want money, she wanted justice. Or at least that's what she said. The case was thrown out, but the pattern is undeniable. Steve Harvey's exes don't walk away. They explode. So when Marjorie Harvey starts throwing around numbers that would make a Fortune 500 CEO blink, we have to ask the real question. What does she have on him? Or maybe more important, what is she protecting him from?
Say that Steve Harvey was in a perfect position to help me get Clinton. I wouldn't have to go through what I went through, but God said.
Let's talk about Marjorie Harvey's clothing line, Lady Love Couture. On the surface, it looks like just another celebrity vanity project, glamorous, overpriced, and ultimately forgettable. But what if it wasn't just a side hustle? What if it was a shield? Because here's the thing about Diddy's empire, Bad Boy Records was never just a label. It was a fortress, a way to launder reputations, move money, and keep the right people quiet. So when Marjorie Harvey launches a luxury brand right as Steve Harvey's career is hitting its peak, right as whispers about her past begin to fade, we have to ask, was Lady Love Couture really just fashion? Or was it reputation laundering for the Harvey brand? A way to soften the questions and give Marjorie a polished, legitimate identity beyond the rumors? Because let's be honest, when you've got 2 convicted kingpins in your past, a little image cleanup goes a long way. And if Steve Harvey knew, and that's a big if, but come on, how could he not, then his silence suddenly makes a lot more sense. This isn't just about love. It's about control. And control is the one thing Marjorie's ex-husbands lost the moment they went to prison. But here's where it gets even messier. Because Diddy's trial wasn't just about Diddy. It was about an entire network. The RICO charges didn't just paint him as a lone villain, they painted a machine. A machine with employees, associates, and people who knew how to keep secrets. And if Marjorie Harvey was allegedly running point at those parties, if she was making sure everything ran smoothly, then her name should have appeared right alongside his. But it didn't. So what gives? Did she flip? Did she cut a deal? Or is she still playing the long game, waiting for the right moment to cash in? Because Diddy's parties weren't just parties. They were board meetings. And Marjorie Harvey wasn't just a guest. She was allegedly part of the operations. So when we see her standing next to Steve Harvey, smiling for the cameras.
But I would feel like I failed as a father.
I think
if I'm sitting across from the table with a dude the same age as me that's dating my daughter.
Or was she his insurance policy? And then there's Lori Harvey. Oh, Lori, the stepdaughter, the model, the woman who was allegedly spotted getting cozy with Diddy not once, not twice, but multiple times. In Italy. In Mexico. In matching outfits that screamed, "We're more than friends." Now, if you're Steve Harvey, and your wife is allegedly tied to Diddy's world in ways we're only now uncovering, how do you not have a problem with your daughter being photographed with the man at the center of it all? Unless, of course, you already knew. Unless the Harveys and the Combs were never just friends. Unless this was always part of a bigger picture, one where loyalty, silence, and leverage were the real currencies being traded. Because let's be real, Steve Harvey didn't just adopt Lori. He claimed her. He made her part of his brand. So when Lori Harvey is linked to Diddy, that's not just a scandal, it's a liability. And if you really start connecting the dots, it begins to look less like a romance and more like a handoff. So where does that leave us? With 2 possible endings, and neither of them is pretty. Scenario 1, Marjorie Harvey flips. She starts talking. And suddenly Steve Harvey isn't America's favorite dad, he's the man who married into one of the biggest scandals in hip-hop history. His empire doesn't just crack, it collapses. Family Feud becomes a punchline. His books turn into kindling. And that $200 million demand starts to look like pocket change compared to what he stands to lose. Scenario 2, they ride it out. They bet on America's attention span being shorter than a TikTok trend. They smile for the cameras. They post their carefully worded religious blogs about handling lies. And they wait for the storm to pass. But here's the thing about storms. They don't disappear. They transform. And if the Netflix documentary proved anything, it's that 50 Cent didn't just expose Diddy. He handed the Harveys a grenade. The only question left is, who's holding it when it goes off? Bomb.
Say anything, you would interpret it as the hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that.
Because let's not forget, 50 Cent isn't done. The lawsuits are still coming. The documentary is still trending. And if Marjorie Harvey really was part of Diddy's world in the way the rumors suggest, if she was allegedly running those parties, if she was the link between illicit activity and the hip-hop elite, then Steve Harvey isn't just married to a woman with a scandalous past. He's married to a time bomb. And that clock? Oh, it's ticking. So Steve, if you're listening, and we know you are, maybe it's time to break the silence. Because the questions aren't going away. And neither are we. But now we want to hear from you. Was Marjorie Harvey just a socialite caught in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or was she playing a game we're only now beginning to understand? Drop your theories in the comments, because this story is far from over. And as always, stay curious, stay skeptical. And we'll see you in the next one. Eyes.